Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Build America podcast, the construction podcast that is capturing and sharing the very heartbeat of construction projects, people, and certainly issues. And that brings us to today's topic, which I'm really looking forward to learning from Tyler Myers, who is the Assistant Vice President at ESS, also known as Emery Sapp Sons. I'm Kerry Smith. I own CNR, Construction News and Review magazine, and we're just delighted to have Tyler with us today to learn about a topic that continues to be at the forefront of everyone in the industry, those working and those hiring. And that topic is talent, how to find the best talent and how to keep it. And I'm just want to be sure and welcome Tyler. Tyler, thanks for your time, and we're excited to have you with us today.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. So I want to mention a little bit about, and Tyler, feel free to fill in anyone who's not familiar with Emery Sapp Sons or ESS. They are headquartered in Kansas City, Missouri. They are themselves 100% employee owned, which will be critical to this topic that we're talking about today. But they're among the biggest of the big in heavy civil construction across the country. Is that right, Tyler?
I work here in the Kansas City office, which is a functioning business unit of in the Midwest. The actual headquarters is in Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good to know that. And I read on your website, on your homepage, that ESS completes nearly 400 infrastructure projects every year. I can't even imagine.
It's a lot, and that's why we have many business units. The divide and conquer works well for us, and people are able to stay laser focused on kind of their realm of responsibility. And we all trust there's great people running the other business units doing the same thing. And it's a strategy that's worked really well, as I've been here 15 years and watched the company grow. And it's been pretty amazing what empowering good people and obviously the ESOP has done for this organization.
Yeah, and let me ask you a little bit about that for our listeners and viewers. How long have you guys had the employee stock ownership plan? Hope I got those acronyms right.
Yeah, no, and I'm not the expert, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I can get the basics down. It was 1999
Wow.
when the employees bought out the founder, Billy Sapp. And I think around 2010, 2011-ish, the employees finished paying off that loan and became truly 100% all owned by the employees. And Billy was all square and still involved. He's a great patriarch and great person to look up to, and still cares much about his employees in the company. So it still weighs in from time to time.
That's awesome. That leads us right into our topic about just talent, acquisition, retention, how to find the best people and how to hold on to them. And I wanted to throw this question out there. What do you think makes construction a compelling career path? Because I feel like if we don't communicate that message, the rest of it won't fall into place.
Yeah, I think a few things. One of them that I have always enjoyed is just the variety. Every day is a little different. And at the end of every day, when you go home, your project or your job site or what you've been working on looks different than when you started. That was always my draw. I think nowadays it's gotten to be such a great career that there's a low barrier to entry. You don't have to have 6 figures sunk in a college degree to have a good career. And there's also been a boom of the training for the trades and highlighting the trades. And it's a great career and it's a respected career. And I'm glad to see that come to light, because being a person who graduated in the late 90s, there was definitely a stigma of going off to a 4-year university versus entering the trades or going to work at a factory or something like that. So now I think it's really flipped, and you can be a young person with skills in the trades and really outperform people who are just wrapping up their 4-year degree, plus the opportunity costs of no income during those 4 years. I think it's great.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And I think when we were working on our talent print edition, we did a lot of interviews with construction industry recruiting firms. And they just said, you have got to show, especially the Generation Z, the Gen Zs, you've got to show them a real clear path to advancement. It's not maybe some of us in our baby boomer era, speaking of myself anyway, we were looking at the salary or looking at other bells and whistles, but they're looking at that career path, aren't they?
Yeah, they want to see it mapped out and on the wall. It's a lot different than I'm at the very end of Gen X with my age, or early millennial, but we were we just put our head down and worked and good things will happen. But no, everything's a transition. We're in an instant data, instant information age. And I think just generations have naturally adapted of why can't I see what's out there for me? And I don't think that's unreasonable. I think we have to adjust a little bit in how we communicate, but the ask isn't that bad. We're not into indentured servitude, and we want to make sure people feel like they're making the best trade with their time that they can. So I think we've adapted, and there's a little bit of early resistance, but at the end of the day, yeah, I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. And we try to lay that out there with the caveat of you got to do your part. It's fortunate Emery Sapp is we tend to collect high performers, and to have that roadmap out there, you got to set yourself apart. And that's in the field or in the office or operators or any of those skills is we're surrounded by good company.
That's awesome. I love how you said collect, because it really is a collection. And I would imagine when you collect the best people, the performers, that's going to influence their colleagues. If you have that whole mindset, has to make quite a difference.
Oh yeah, you can definitely, we pull each other up a lot of the time. So it works out well.
That's awesome. That kind of leads us to our next topic of, I understand that ESS definitely to that end has implemented effective strategies, programs, and other ideas that reach out to the next generation, to those in their, I'm just thinking probably their, probably early 20s or late teens.
Yeah. And the teens, there's several strategies. We've tried to engage in some high schools and getting to know stuff early. There's some STEM Alliance stuff here in Kansas City that actually does grade schoolers that we try to sponsor and get out and show some of the interesting things in construction. High school, like you said, trade schools, built partnerships with some trade schools, try to get that going. Internships, both in the field and for some of the more professional paths in the office, engineers, things like that. Yeah, we've tried to build that pipeline because people are key to growth when you're a contractor. You can buy all the equipment and all the materials in the world, but if you don't have the good people to execute, that's really where your risk is. So yeah, they've done a great job. They also, I have here on my notes, the ESS Foundation, our CEO has been passionate about that, and they've done a great job with that. And we're able to, obviously, as a large construction company, we have a lot of vendor partners, and they all come together once a year and sponsor a golf tournament, and we're able to give away scholarships. And you probably have to ask Megan. I was just there last Monday, and I can't remember what he said, but I thought maybe he said they gave up 68 scholarships or something like that.
Wow. I'll have to check.
But it really gets everybody together, everybody chips in, and the foundation is really driving those investments and scholarships. And the scholarship could be to a welding school or something in the trades. It's not just you have to be, but we do choose kids who identified some role in construction moving forward. And as the foundation's grown, even one of our trade partners has their own foundation and money raising event every year, and they contributed a significant amount to the foundation this year, really building a network to give us the resources to continue to invest and draw people into our world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what are some, not that you ever face any recruitment challenges, and nobody does, just kidding, but what would be some of those challenges? I feel like not just Emery Sapp Sons, but moreover the industry. What do you think are the recruitment challenges that we face, and how can we come up with creative ways of overstepping those?
I think, first of all, there's this misconception that nobody wants to do it anymore. People don't want to work hard anymore. I don't agree with that. I found an interesting article, and I should have printed it. It was a year or two ago, and it had like newspaper articles from every 25 years for the last 100 years. And every 25 years, somebody was complaining about how this generation doesn't work as hard as the previous generation. I think it's just a stigma. I think it's an easy way for us to talk about a challenge instead of working through the challenge. But I think part of it, though, is people don't know what construction is. We've got all this instant information at our fingertips. People aren't really seeing what it's all about. They're getting to see the teamwork out in the field, or the amazing high technology equipment we use, or the processes, or the timelines, or all of that. And so I know our marketing team works really hard hand in hand with HR into getting what's Emery Sapp, what's construction message out there. I know we have a TikTok channel now that kind of highlights a lot of the neat stuff, and I think it's got some really good participation. You got to connect with people at a younger age. It seems like more people are forming ideas young with all this constant data flow of what they want to do or what's acceptable or what society expects them to do. So I think we have to continue to educate society and the next generation, Gen Z. You mentioned that this is a great career, and being an ESOP and full benefits and everything else, you can really build a lot of wealth while still making a good living throughout a career. And with it being an ESOP and with a time value of money, if you get it in an early age, just the rule of compounding interest is that it can really turn into a big number.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's really our journey, is educating, getting people exposed, and then making them want to pick us, because there is a little bit of a construction boom going on right now with data centers and a few other things. And even if everybody in the world wanted to be in construction, I think we would find a spot for them right now, just because there's a lot of spots. So it's a transitioning workforce. It's a getting spooled up on our education, getting buy-in to our line of work. And at the same time, there's some serious mega projects going on that are putting strain on the labor pool.
Sure. And when you're mentioning that, Tyler, I wondered, and this could be a bunch of answers in terms of specific positions, but for example, like project manager, project superintendent, like where do you see the biggest gaps right now that you guys are continually filling?
Craft workers, people
Craft workers,
willing
sure.
to laborers, operators. We call it survey, but the young folks who use technology to lay out the jobs, paving technicians. All of our paving equipment is stringless. So we have tech savvy young folks who help keep all the paving machines going where they're supposed to. Project engineers is always a pipeline we like to keep full. And excuse me, it's been a little bit of a challenge to kind of find people that rise up to the occasion, because we always have so much going on that we can give you a lot of rope and you can either do some good with it or not. So we try to find high performers, give them room to grow, but at the same time, give them a support structure below them so they can't fall too far. And that's where we're at. Project managers, seems like you always need them. Superintendents, they mostly come up through the ranks. Somebody who was a laborer becomes a foreman, and then that foreman maybe becomes a superintendent. And that's been good for us, just because learning the ESS way, learning how we do things, learning what we expect. We've hired some experienced superintendents and foremen. They were good hires. We put a little more thought into that. Just because you did X at Y company doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fit in with us. We love to train, build, and promote from within, and have had a lot of success with that.
You brought up, that's excellent. And I didn't mean to neglect that topic of culture, because like you said, you can be schooled, educated, trained in the technical side, but if it's not a cultural fit, I bet that's really difficult, especially on highly expedited or accelerated projects where it's just got to be the team pulling it across the finish line. Did they learn about the culture as early as, I'm sure, as your interviewing process or your recruiting process, to see a litmus test to see whether they might be a good fit?
That's what we try to gauge it with, is seeing how they're going to fit in, knowing we've got a lot of employee owners who want to know that this person's protecting their asset at this point. And ownership's a whole different culture, and we try to make the right fits and the right hires to fit in with that. And yes, that's something we try to get out early in the interview process, is the team mentality. Because even if you're a high performer alone, we would expect you to grow within the organization, and at some point you move beyond your abilities, and then it transitioned into not what you do, but how you lead other people. If we hire somebody who's just an expert at doing this one thing and they get a ton of it done, but they're 35 years old and they can't transition from being a doer to a leader, then they're really going to have a siloed career path, and that doesn't do them any good. That doesn't do us any good. So try to get that culture and that style kind of highlighted early in the interview process.
Excellent. Excellent. I wanted to ask you, when you talked about the more tech savvy jobs, I don't know why, but I never even thought about those with a larger company, especially heavy civil. If you're building a lot of highway and bridge projects, and the like, what are some examples of where somebody would go for training to be able to fix the paving equipment, or some of the more, I'm trying to think, I should have written down some of the more tech savvy stuff you said about where you place them, where there must have to be programs available for them to learn that, unless that's all internally trained.
Yeah, it's all internal on the
Wow.
training. Yeah, we try to identify good candidates, because it is a big investment, as you can imagine. Some of the skills based, to your point, mechanics working on the specialized equipment, I think there are workshops that the manufacturers put on maybe annually, semi-annually, that we try to get our people exposed to. But it really does come to crowdsourcing the knowledge and being willing to spread it around, not hoard all the knowledge, but spread it around and put it out there so people can absorb it. But yeah, a lot of that stuff is on the job training. We've got a whole department. They just build the models for the pavers and the equipment and the layout department. They're out there, whether it be shooting hot shots on bridges, laying out abutments or paving pipe. They're in the middle of all of it. And it's all technology driven at this point. It's all coming from a model that was built in-house.
Oh, wow. This is just off the cuff, but I know we talk a lot with folks about prefabrication and building things in the shop. And I wondered, is that relevant to heavy highway construction or is that more vertical?
Can be. Yes, it is more vertical. I think the electrical side of things has really gone to a lot of prefab, but we were just talking about it yesterday on some drilled shafts of if we had a time constraint, maybe tying the steel cages ahead of time and stuff like that and what that looked like. It's just to spool up a full prefab operation, you got to have a steady flow of work, a steady flow of need to make that work. And I don't know if we've really identified what that would be outside of. Now there is a huge prefab or precast market out there. There's suppliers who do that for us.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. I can't believe the time. It does go really quickly. We've been really enjoying learning from Tyler Myers, Assistant Vice President at Emery Sapp Sons, or ESS. And he is based in Kansas City, but the company headquarters is in Columbia, Missouri. But it's just been a delight to talk to you about talent, about how you all are keeping it, refining it, and growing it. And we just really appreciate the time today. I hope you'll come back on and talk to us again.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.